Hi, welcome to our quick start not using the melt products. Now, if you don't have the melt products just yet, remember our melt roller is a soft roller, and now that you've been introduced to the 4Rs protocol, we're going to start with a rebalance sequence, and instead of using our roller, we're going to go ahead and roll up a couple of towels. Now, the one treatment that I can't teach you without the proper product are the hand and foot treatments. Really, we need this large soft ball to be able to perform that. And listen, if you are suffering with chronic pain, the very best place to start are your hands and feet. On a neurological level, remember, 100% of the time, our brain's what's producing our sense of pain. So our job is to actively participate in helping our autopilot, the parts of our body that support, protect, and stabilize us involuntarily and without our conscious control, are functioning well. So treating your hands and feet, this is really the foundation of altering those sensory motor pathways that can oftentimes become faulty and are the key culprits of persistent pain sensations. So remember, of all of the products to buy from Melt, it is the hand and foot treatment kit. But if you don't have the roller, we can do a rebalance sequence and some of the lengthening techniques and rehydrate techniques just by having a couple of bath towels. So if I'm in a pinch and I'm traveling or something and for some reason I didn't bring a roller, which really rarely ever happens, I would take a towel, I'd fold it in half, and then I'd go ahead and I'd roll it up. And then I'd take a second towel, and I'd roll that up too. Now, if you have thick bath towels, you might even get away with just using one. But what we want is a soft, curved surface along the spine, right? So basically, I've just made myself that exact product, right? So if you go grab a couple of towels, we'll go ahead and I'll bring you through a rebalance sequence. Now remember the 4 R's of Melt. The first R is reconnect. The very first thing we want to do is teach you how to identify where stuck stress is living in your fascial system and how it's both altering your fine balance of what we're going to define as your masses and spaces, your alignment of your joints and your body parts. And we're also going to assess your autopilot to see if it has a good clear connection to your center of gravity or if the fascial issues that you have in your body are causing interference in your autopilot's efficiency. So if you've got your towels rolled up, let's go ahead and set them aside and get started with a rebalance sequence. Okay, so if you have your towels rolled up, just go ahead and set it aside, and we're going to do a basic body scan. And this is the way we start a lot of the treatments, especially when you have pain. Doing a rest assess not only gives you in your mind a body baseline, it also does help to reset your autopilot to regain its connection to your center of gravity. So when we're done with the treatment, the reassess is actually where the autopilot will reset. So let's go ahead and begin by lying on our back, palms faced up, arms and legs extended. And I just want you to lie still for a moment and begin to take some nice focused breaths. Now, to do a body scan, you have to learn how to use body sense. So what I'm going to invite you to do is just give yourself permission to go into your body. Try not to fidget, adjust, or look up at your body. Just begin to notice that there's areas of your body touching the ground. There's also areas of your body naturally off the floor. So just start to scan from head to toe those masses and spaces. Masses are on the ground. Spaces are off the floor. Now, using your body sense, I'm going to teach you how to identify where stuck stress is living in your body. And there's 3 areas it loves to live: our shoulder girdle, our diaphragm, and our pelvis. And when it lives in these areas, it's going to alter the balance of our masses and spaces and can often inhibit the neurocore control and stability systems of our body. So begin to notice your head, your arms, and your torso, your upper body. If you've got stuck stress living in your shoulder girdle, it's going to displace the fine balance of your head, arm, and torso position. So ideally, the head is weighted right behind the bridge of your nose. Notice if your head feels like it's tipped back or off to one side. From the back of your hands, scan your masses of your arms. And you might notice that one arm feels more weighted than the other. You feel more surface area on one side. Notice that. And then in your torso, the most telltale sign of accumulative stress living in the upper body is feeling like most or all of your back weight is propped against the shoulder blades. You might even feel the edges of your shoulder blades are poking into the ground. Ideally, the mid-rib wall, where women define the bra line, the area of the rib cage below the shoulder girdle, ideally is actually the most weighted region of the torso. So again, just notice notice if you've got more weight up in your shoulder blades than your mid-ribs. Now, if you're not sure what you feel in the upper body, to identify stuck stress, you can also use a basic movement. I'm going to invite you to turn your head left and right and notice for 3 things. Pain, if you have pain as you get to the end range, if you feel like you have limited range to one side or the other, or if you feel when you turn your head, the opposite shoulder kind of follows your head turn. Those are all signs of restrictions in the connective tissue altering the natural movement of your head turn. And then bring your head back to center. So now take a nice focused breath. Begin to notice the shape and size of your low back curve. Now I know you're going to want to touch your low back, but I'm going to invite you to just take one finger and put it in your belly button. Now ideally, the arch of the lower back is just that. It's low in the back. It's from the navel down to the pelvis. Now if you're noticing actually the arch of your back goes well north of the belly button, you might actually feel that there's more lift above the belly button than below. Those are signs of accumulative stress living in the diaphragm, and that is a clear indication we've got to work on our neurocore, which is what the rebalance sequence is going to do. Now, take your hands away from your body. Use your body sense again, and let's go into noticing your lower body. And I want you to notice the pelvis, the back of your thighs, the back of your calves, and your heels. Those are your masses. Now, ideally, in your pelvis, you're lying on 2 evenly weighted butt cheeks. I want you to notice if either you're feeling one butt cheek feels more spread out on the floor, or you're actually feeling your tailbone is really pronounced to the ground more than you're sensing the butt cheeks. The back of your thigh masses, notice there. Ideally, the back of the thighs are weighted to the floor. Notice if the back of your thighs are not touching the ground on one or both sides. That is a clear sign of autopilot inefficiency. That's going to leave your hips out of balance when you stand up. You might notice your knee space is unevenly lifted, or the calf mass is unevenly weighted. And then notice your heels. Ideally, your legs turn outward somewhat when you're in a resting position, and your thighs kind of angle out northeast, northwest, so the feet kind of point towards where the ceiling meets the walls. I want you to notice if your feet are completely turned out to the sides of the room, or you're noticing that your toes are significantly pointed away from your ankles. All of those are signs of connective tissue issues. And again, when you go to stand up, if you've got all that accumulative stress down below, it's going to leave you feeling offset when you come up to standing. Now, is the accumulative stress in your body not just altering your fine balance of your masses and spaces, but is it altering your autopilot's efficiency? So remember, all of the autonomic functions in our body, if it's functioning inefficiently, this is how you'll tell. Divide yourself into a left and a right half. Just scan your body using your body sense, ear to heel, left side. Just kind of take the moment to notice the whole left side of your body, and then draw your attention to the right side, from your ear, down your shoulder, down into your torso, down into your leg. If it feels to you like one entire side of your body is more weighted, or one leg actually feels longer than the other, that is an indication that your autopilot needs your help. Your connective tissue issues is actually altering your autopilot's connection to your center of gravity. Now listen, I gave you lots of things to feel as opposed to what's ideal, but as you start to melt, you'll hear me mention 4 common imbalances, and these 4 that I'm going to mention are the most important to commit to memory, because the 4 most common imbalances are the one that destabilize our neurocore stability. It actually alters our autopilot's connection to our center of gravity the most, and it ends up compressing our neck and low back unnecessarily. Okay, so just remember these 4. If you lie on your back before you do a melt session and you feel all your back weight's on your shoulder blades, you have a big excessive arch in your mid-back, your tailbone is really pronounced to the ground, or the back of your thigh masses feel off the floor, you want to spend some time melting. And we'll do some of those hydration techniques tomorrow as we continue your journey into becoming a melter. Roll yourself on your side. Come on up to sitting. So the very first treatment I introduce to all of my clients, especially those that have pain, is the Rebalance Sequence. So what you want to do is lie your towels down, your rolled up towels, down onto the ground, and you're going to bring your hips up onto one end, and then nice and slowly, you're just going to go ahead and roll yourself on down to the towel. And what you're doing here is you're lying directly on your spine. Make sure that your head landed on your towel, your pelvis is on your towel. Bring your feet about hip width apart, feet flat on the ground. Bring your forearms down to the floor. And the very first melt move we're going to do is called gentle rocking. I just want you to allow your masses of your head, ribs, and pelvis to just gently rock a little bit to the left, and then a little bit to the right. Almost imagine you're falling and catching yourself onto the left and right side. If I tied a string from your nose to your sternum, to your belly button, to your pubic bone,
all of your masses are simultaneously tipping. This is called a reconnect technique. It's a way to help our autopilot reconnect to our center of gravity by challenging our balance on this unstable surface. And because we're lying on our spine, it really does alter neurological regulation. We never have pressure right against the spine. So as we're doing this gentle rocking for about 30 seconds, it's just helping to reset the autopilot back to our center of gravity. Take some nice slow breaths in, noticing how that fills the body, and then breathing out, noticing how it brings the body back to midline. And then bring all your masses back to the top of your towels. And the next move is a reconnect technique called the tuck and tilt. I want you to take your thumb and index finger like a triangle and place that triangle down onto the front of your pelvis so that your fingertips rest onto your pubic bones and the heels of your hands rest on your hip bones so that your thumbs are kind of tucked underneath your belly button. So tucking and tilting. First is our tuck. I want you to think about curling your pubic bone towards your nose. And what you should notice is that your low back has traveled towards your towels. That's called a tuck. Now, it's not just about getting into the tuck, it's how you're holding the position that's important. I want you to notice, are you pushing into your feet, squeezing your butt cheeks, or have you lifted your hips to find your tuck? If you're doing any of those things, cut that out. So let's go ahead and bring the pelvis back to neutral. Try to keep your feet light and try again to tuck. And notice if your belly kind of paunches up into your hands, you want to feel that that belly stays relaxed to create the tuck. Again, losing some of that low back curve, it's a subtle motion. Then we're going to try a tilt. We're going to push our fingertips onto our pubic bones, and we're going to move the pubic bone away from our belly button. That's going to increase our low back curve, and it's going to get our sacrum to land back to the top of the roller, our tailbone back to the top of the roller. Okay, so now again, try again tucking. Try not to push into your feet or squeeze your butt cheeks to create your tuck. And now notice where the weight of your mid-ribs are, and then try to untuck your pelvis, go back through the tilt, and notice if your rib cage wants to pop up and follow the pelvic motion. If you're noticing that, we're going to stop that too. So as you tuck your pelvis, put your hands on your rib cage, and I want you to draw your attention to where you want to stay still in the ribs. And then untuck your pelvis and go back into an active tilt, trying to increase your low back curve without letting your ribs come with you. Let's try that 4 more times. Tucking the pelvis, curling your pubic bone towards your nose, tilting, allowing your pubic bone to slide in between your legs, back of the pelvis gets heavy. So what I like thinking is when I tuck, it's like a tidal wave crashing into my mid-belly. And as I tilt, it's like the undertow of the ocean running against the front side of my spine. Again, tucking the pelvis, curling in like a tidal wave, tilting more like the undertow, dragging my sacrum back to the top of the roller. One more time, tucking the pelvis, not allowing the feet to push, and then tilting our pelvis back to a lift in the low back without the ribs coming with us. And now find somewhere in between your tuck and tilt and try to remember that language, because tomorrow as we start to add more techniques, we'll come back and practice this in different positions. So without actively tucking or tilting, finding your neutral pelvis, let's try a rebalancing technique to help our autopilot regain some connection and some balance through our neural core regulators. Put one hand on your chest and then put one hand on your belly. All I'm going to invite you to do is consciously think about breathing in slowly and take a nice slow breath in. And I want you to notice that both the belly and the chest should rise up as you inhale. The back body is sinking toward the roller. And then as you exhale, feel how the body returns to midline. Okay, so we're going to do that 2 more times. Nice slow inhalation. And then a nice slow exhalation. And again, you want to feel both hands and your back body expand from a midline. So one more time, breathing in, feeling both the chest and the belly expand. Back body is moving down toward the roller. And then exhale. Okay, so now take your hands, place them onto the sides of your ribs. Same idea, I want you to take 3 slightly slower than normal breaths, same fashion, only this time breathing width into your torso. Breathing and expanding and feeling how your ribs, you can consciously allow them to move widthwise. And then breathing out and feeling how the ribs return back to the midline. Again, breathing in and directing your breath to the side body. And then breathing out. And one more time, breathing in, expanding through, and then breathing out. Okay, one more direction. One hand on your collarbones or right at the base of your throat, one hand down into your pubic bone or the front of the pelvis. And this time, I want you to take a breath that allows the diaphragm to expand your abdomen all the way into your pelvic floor, and your lungs get to fill all the way up to the top of your collarbones, breathing length, and then allowing the exhale to return your body back to midline. Again, inhaling, feeling how the pelvic floor gets to expand and open. The shoulders get long, and then exhale. And one more time, breathing length into the body, feeling that breath get all the way past the pubic bone, and then exhaling. Okay, so now that we've broken down the breath and taken an interruption, we breathe all the time, but us taking it over consciously is altering the autopilot. So now, fourth technique, last one, put both hands on your belly, and this time I want you to take a nice six-sided breath into all six sides of your body. Feel how your whole body expands like a cylinder, and then let your natural exhale come out of your body. And just try that a couple of times, just breathing in through the whole body and breathing out, feeling how the whole body collapses. Now, there is a core reflex that's happening through your natural exhale. We're going to activate it consciously and stimulate it to make sure that we give it a little bit of a boost so that it works better when we're not thinking about it. This time I want you to take a nice six-sided breath in, and on your exhale, make a shh. Keep making that SH sound until there's no breath left. And when you get to the end of your exhale, don't breathe in. Feel the engagement that's happening throughout your body. And now inhale, feel yourself let it all go. Feel your whole body expand. Try another breath. An S sound. A S. And again, go until there's no breath left. See if you can feel that engagement. It's not just front to back, it's side to side. It's even squeezing around your spine. Try another breath in. Take a big breath in. This time make an HA sound. Now, one of those sounds is going to draw more of that intention and that sensation of an engagement. So let's try all three again. Let's try a nice six-sided breath in, and let's try the SH. And again, when you get to the end, really feel that squeezing that's happening. Inhale, let it all go. Try the S sound. Again, when you get to the end of your exhale, feel that engagement, see what you feel. And then your last breath is the HA. And again, feel that engagement. Whichever sound draws your attention to that cylindrical engagement, I want you to do it 2 more times. Take a nice six-sided breath in, whichever sound works for you, SH, SE, or HA. And again, as you make your exhale, feel how the whole cylinder of your core reflex, it's like a cylinder, like a bag, and it's slowly squeezing and broadening and bearing down, but it's gentle. It's like a gentle hug to your organs. And then inhale, let it all go, and then try it again, SH, SE, or HA, whatever the sound is that you're picking to feel that engagement. Okay, so now that you know what it feels like when we force the core reflex into action, now we're going to go back and just take a nice six-sided breath in. Let your natural exhale come out of your body. Don't force anything, but in your mind, consciously connect to that engagement and feel like you're feeling and following that subtle hugging action. And then again, when you inhale, feel yourself let it all go, free it out. Let your natural exhale come out of your body, but then in your conscious mind, feel that subtle hugging action. That's called finding your core. And as you learn how to melt, we're going to ask you that frequently. Hey, find your core, and you can always do that by making your shh or sound, or just consciously connecting to taking a breath in, and on your exhale, feeling and following that engagement. So now, take your time. Roll yourself on your side. Slide the roller out from behind you. And let's go ahead and lie on our back, palms faced up, arms and legs extended. And let's reassess. Now, we didn't feel like we did very much, right? We did a little rocking, we moved our pelvis around, we focused on breathing in and breathing out. But if your autopilot is starting to reacquire its connection to your center of gravity, your natural balance is going to improve. So I want you to scan your masses and spaces again. Remember, I said if your head feels off-centered, or one arm feels more weighted than the other, or all your back weight's on your shoulder blades, notice if now your head feels more relaxed on the ground, if your arm masses feel more balanced, and if you're feeling more rib weight down to the ground. Remember, that's one of those common imbalances. If you felt all your back weight was on your shoulder blades, notice if now the ribs have a little bit more weight to them. If you had that high tensional arch in your low back, notice if the low back curve is a little bit more relaxed, if there's less tension in the mid back, and you feel more lift more around the belly button and below. In your pelvis, if you felt a lot of tailbone pronounced to the ground, notice if your butt cheeks have settled to the floor. That definitely happened for me. And notice if the back of your thighs feel more relaxed on the ground, if you were feeling they were a little lifted. Now, if you're feeling those changes, we've activated your neural core. So we've created more balance in the autonomic systems that stabilize and protect us through that neuromyofascial core, our neural core. And if we divide ourselves into a left and a right half, if our autopilot has better connection to our pelvis, which it should if the neural core is working more efficiently, we should feel more balanced from left to right as well. So if you're feeling your body is less offset from left to right, again, great indications that we've helped restore autopilot efficiency. Now here's an interesting thing. Turn your head left and right. We didn't do anything to specifically release your neck, but your neural core is related to your cervical motion. So if you turn your head left and right and you feel like you freed up range, decreased pain, and your shoulders feel more relaxed, we're already well on our way to making you a great hands-off body worker and helping restore your autopilot's efficiency. Bend your knees, roll yourself on your side, and come on up to sitting. Now that you've practiced that technique, tomorrow we'll bring you through the rebalance sequence in real time, and I'm going to start to add some lengthening techniques to teach you the difference between stretching a muscle and actually causing some tensional pull through your fascial system to restore the hydration of the fascial net. Now, as we do these techniques, you're going to notice some even more profound changes, and you can still just use your towels so that you can embody the practice even without the melt tools. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure that you go back at least one time and practice it so that you understand the principles. Remember what we did. Gentle rocking. We challenged our balance on the unstable surface. We did a subtle tucking and tilting to undulate the pelvis to help our autopilot reacquire its subtle connection to that pelvic motion, which most of us have lost if we have back or neck pain. Then we did rebalancing techniques. We consciously took over the act of breathing in. Remember, we breathe all the time and we never have to think about it. But you thinking about slowing down the diaphragmatic action can help reset the autopilot and regain control in the neurological core mechanisms that stabilize, support, and protect our spine. Then we did the 3D breath, that forced exhalation. And as we did that, we engaged that core reflex with our conscious mind and gave it a little bit of a boost so that when we're not thinking about it, the core activation is more available and helping the autopilot maintain its connection to our center of gravity. I hope you're already feeling some of the changes that these profound treatments can make, and tomorrow we'll go ahead and add some lengthening techniques to your rebalance sequence. Happy melting.